everyone, and welcome to this edition of the Spartan Sports Report. Got some special guests with us here this evening, and Coach Kerry Brown and Cole Martin and Jonah Graham from basketball team. And welcome, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Glad to have you here. I'd like to start off with Coach Brown here a little bit, and if you would reflect on the season and your thoughts on the season as a whole.
Well, as most people know, we got beat in the regional championship game. I thought probably in looking back that this year's team in the 12 or 13 years, however many I've been here, this year's team may have come as close to reaching their potential as any of those teams have. I don't know that we were individually as talented or maybe as good on paper as some of those teams, but I think the final product that we put on the floor, going 18-8, and I went back and looked at every one of those losses. Every team that we lost to won their sectional, or they were the team that got beat by the team that won their sectional. Every one of our 8 losses. There's still 2 teams playing for state championships this next week. Silver Creek's playing for the 3A championship. They beat us by 1 in the regional, and then Lawrence North's playing for the 4A state championship, and they beat us here by 4 points. Both those games we had opportunities to win, tie, to take the lead at the end. So I guess just in reflecting back, we had a conference championship. We, I don't know if we were the best or second best, depends on who you talk to, probably in terms of defensive average. Conference championship, sectional championship, great showing in the regional. I'm going to stand by the fact that as I look back, this team probably got as much out of itself and played as close to its potential as any in the 12 or 13 years that I've been here, and we've had some other pretty good teams.
The losses that we had, of course, we opened up with Delta with a loss, and know we'd like to have that one back. You know, it's just circumstances with the pandemic and all that. I think maybe we just weren't quite ready yet, but after that, I thought the guys kicked in, and other than a couple of games, we were in all of those games.
Yeah, I think the Delta game, if you look back at that being the first game of the year, you're never quite sure. We had to figure out some things because, you know, we had a lot of new pieces coming in, figuring into our team this year. So, and then I just filled out my All-Star ballot today, and they had a kid that was nominated for the All-Star ballot. So, I mean, they had a pretty good piece that we did a pretty good job on him, but just offensively, we didn't click, didn't play very well that night. So, yeah, the Mount Vernon game and probably the Hamilton Southeastern game were the 2 games that jump out at you that we didn't compete as well. Mount Vernon wins their sectional, and Hamilton Southeastern got beat by Carmel, who's the other team playing for the 4A state championship. So both of them were really good basketball teams, and if I remember correctly, both of them were on the road. So Hamilton Southeastern was the game that we picked up, a replacement game, and we wanted to challenge these guys, and I told them that about that time, you know, and we were in that part of our schedule where it would have been easy to kind of maybe roll over, okay, you know, give up, whatever. There's always that tough stretch in January, and it helped us, again, I think, be a better team and respond and play well down the stretch when it mattered the most.
Pandemic, I'm going to ask the guys about this, that from week to week, you get ready for a team, but we may not play them. How did that affect you guys?
I think no matter what, you have to go into practice and walk through the same. If we play them, we're ready. If we don't, I mean, you move on. But I think practice-wise, you practice like it's a regular practice. You know, you prepare for the team you're playing for and get ready.
And maybe it affected we adults more than you young guys seem to be resilient, and you know, just put us out there and we'll play. Is that how you felt, Cole?
Yeah, it was kind of like we prepare for a team, and then if the game does get canceled, we use that preparation as just extra practice and get ready for the next game, and then prepare for the next team whenever that time comes.
Coach talked a little bit about you guys reaching your potential and coming just short there in the regional championship, but this is truly a team. We had no superstars, but one of you guys have to come out, and there's always a good replacement on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this was of my 4 years the team that I felt was closest, and we all played for each other the entire time. None of us got selfish. We all played for each other and did whatever it took to win a game.
Got to be proud of sectional championship in your senior year here.
Yeah, for sure.
Regional runner-up.
Yeah.
And those things aren't easy. I
No.
mean, winning games in the tournament's not easy. To win the whole thing it's not easy. We've done it 3 times in 12 years. It's not, and I've been on 6 or 7 in 30 or however many years I've been an assistant and a head coach. I mean, I've experienced that 6 or 7 years, maybe 8. It's not easy. It's just not. So there'll be something they'll take with them and remember. And of course, as older people and adults, we're happy that they provided us with that. We got to go along with them on that journey.
Absolutely, and to go to Greensburg and win a sectional on their floor against a very talented team that we had beaten earlier in the season on that floor, and that's quite a feat in itself, right there, Coach.
Well, and I still think most of the people, not from Connersville, but anyone outside of Connersville, were picking Greensburg to win the sectional at their place. If you listen to any of the experts or the those people in the basketball circles that knew things, you always heard them talking about, well, they've got Sparks and they've got Comer, and they thought that was going to be enough. But we probably played better in the sectional than we did during the regular season win down there, and that was a good win during the regular season, but the game wasn't as close. I just, couldn't have scripted it any better.
I would say to those people, we have 5 guys we can put on the floor at any certain time that play defense, best in the state at defense, and play smart and follow the game plan.
Jonah alluded to the fact that, and Cole may have as well, but, go to practice whether you're going to play the game or not, but you're going to be prepared. And I thought defensively we were as good. And if you look at points per game, that's the best team we've had in the time that I've been here. I started using a new number, points per possession, and we were pretty good in that respect. I don't have from years ago because I didn't used to use that analytic, but just in terms of what we were doing. I mean, we were doing some things this year that I couldn't get other teams to do, whether it was bad coaching or and it always goes back to that. So if they weren't getting it done, it always fell upon me. But these guys were doing some things this year that allowed us to be a better team, maybe defensively, than we've been in the past. And then I always told them, I said, defend and rebound, and we'll get enough out of our offense to win the game. And most of the time we did.
Came up 1 bucket short down at Washington. What a great experience that was. The next day in the Louisville Courier Journal, I think it's called, their coach talked about how tenacious these guys were and that the best defense that he had seen all year.
Well, I've read some of those comments, and I know people talked about how physical and tough our kids are. Whether you were 6'4" or 5'7", one of the most competitive guys that, Jonah, I'm pointing at, one of the most competitive guys pound for pound in the 12, 13 years I've been here. And then Cole, whether you were a post player that played outside or inside, he usually drew the other team's best post-type player. So, but those are other things I heard people talk about. It. I have to say this, or I may forget, but I've got letters from people in the community or people that live outside the community that are from Connersville. And I'm going to share, when we have our banquet, at least one of those letters with the team and their parents, whoever come to participate in it. But it's just really neat hearing other people talk about our kids and reflect on them and the job that they've done. So Edith James, I'm going to say her name, I said it on the radio. Edith sent me another letter, and it's just good to get things like that. And Daryl Robinson. Yeah, you know what I'm talking
lives
about.
in the Atlanta area now.
Yes.
Yeah.
They send letters.
Listen to us.
They love Spartan basketball, and it's neat to get those letters and read them.
It's amazing when Dave and I are on the air, the texts that I get from people that I know, people in Florida that listen to us. And I know that Mike Heineman was listening to us. And these guys may not even know who he is, but they still follow us.
Tradition.
And it's the Spartan Nation goes well beyond Fayette County here.
Yeah.
Coach talked a little bit there about you guys' size. You come in at 5'7", but you like going underneath with guys that were 6'7".
Oh yeah, for sure. I take pride in the tenacity that Coach is talking about. I mean, I'm not the biggest, obviously, so I find other ways to make my presence felt on the floor, and doing that just makes me feel good, honestly.
It made us feel good too, and I have to tell you, it made my broadcast partner feel good too, because he can about look you in the eye, and he likes it when guys like you can go underneath and get the job done.
I take pride in it.
Yeah.
Well, Sam, and here's the thing. If I think about these guys and there's a moment, and there's more than one, but if something jumps out at me right now about Jonah, and it has to do with toughness, but he takes a couple charges from the big 6'10" kid from Silver Creek in the regional, puts his body on the line. And the one big moment for me for Cole was when he takes a charge on Spartan in the regular season game at Greensburg to foul him out. And maybe if that doesn't happen, we don't win the game because he's still on the floor. So those are those types of plays that as a coach I remember, but they're those toughness plays, and they're the willingness to sacrifice, be all in for your teammates, because you're going to get creamed sometimes. Jonah got actually hurt at the end of the second quarter as we're going into halftime, and was limping around because of that play that he made. But it's the type of plays that our kids are willing to make, and it's for me as the coach, it's very rewarding and exciting.
Cole, great thing about Cole that made him hard to defend was that he could play underneath, or I loved it when he stepped back beyond that arc and let him go and knocked him down. So, Cole, that made you very hard to defend. How did you develop that three-point shot?
Well, going into last season, once Ethan got injured, I wasn't playing that much, so I wasn't as good on the outside. But then once I stepped into his spot, I felt like with Jake being the main post guy, I needed to develop sort of my outside game a little bit and try and get better out there so I can complement him well and complement the team as Ethan did. So then going into this season, I tried to further that even more, even though I was at the time going to be our main primary big. I just wanted to get more shots up, just try and, again, develop that outside game just so I can be more of a dual threat and help the team as much as I could.
Gage coming along helped you be able to do that too, to step
Yes.
out, because you had a big underneath.
Yes, he did a great job coming in and playing big underneath, allowed me to be on the perimeter more and opened up more lanes for everybody to drive, more room for him to work if he needed, and if I was in there, I could work too.
I know that the younger guys coming up, guys in middle school and on the freshman and JV team, look up to you guys. When you were coming up through the ranks, who did you look to?
I know I looked towards Garrett Solcott. I was a freshman, he was a senior, so I got to see what he was like in practice, and his intensity was off the charts in practice, which made me, want to grow up and be like how he was in practice.
Cole, you have one?
Yeah, I also looked up to Garrett. During the summer workouts, he picked me to be his free throw buddy, so I just thought that was awesome. He pushed me hard every day and always talked to me, trying to help me get better. I also looked up to Chandler Graves, my older cousin. He didn't really get an opportunity to play until his senior year, but he always worked hard, and I know he wasn't the best player on the court then, but he worked hard, played as much defense as he could, and just gave all out effort to be on the floor rather than the talent and the skill.
And he continues to do that because he was student manager for the IU basketball team.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
I know he wants to go on and be a coach. So I think that's the kind of kids that we have here, Coach, that really, when they buy into something, they do it.
Cole was someone I always try to use as an example. He might not even remember, but one of the things we always talk about from a skill standpoint is being able to get to the rim in one dribble from outside the three-point line. So he showed he could do that last year at New Palestine. And that's not something, if you watch, not everybody can or is able to do. And then you talked about his ability to stretch the floor a little bit. And I don't think we quite got him where we wanted him at this year, but that was something that he became a dual threat. And I thought that was something that made us harder to play against. And then Jonah continued, I thought, developing his game and Caleb Sparks is the same way. Caleb's a catch-and-shoot guy. And if they always know that that's all you can do, then it kind of limits how you can help the team. And I still remember Jonah getting into the lane, and there'd be times when he might be a little selfish and want to score for himself. But when the game was on the line, and I don't know if they know where I'm going with this, it was, we're done, the season's over. He drives. He got himself a basket earlier, but then he hits Cole with a bounce pass when we were making our comeback against South Dearborn on that Friday night, or we don't win on Saturday, or we don't win the first game in the regional. So those are things I think about these guys and how they continue to develop. And if you don't do that as a player, as a person, you're going to limit how you can continue to help your team. And so that'll be a conversation we have with Caleb Sparks, because he's a little bit like Jonah, and that was one thing everybody knows he can do, so they're going to try to take that away. And I thought Jonah added that to his game. And maybe he could have done it before, and as coaches, we were not letting him. But I know the one thing he could do, and everybody else knew, and they were running at him, they weren't going to let him catch and shoot the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. Do you guys, we talked a little bit about the guys that you looked up to. Do you have guys you've mentored this year that anybody in particular, or if you don't want to say, that's okay too?
I got a little cousin, not really. We just kind of one of those family friends. Cody Naylor's coming up. He was on the JV team this year. He was there big. He works really hard. I don't really know if he looks up to me. I took him to practice every day because he doesn't have his license, so maybe that's why our relationship was so good. But I just remember after the season was over, he thanked me for always trying to help him, always trying to work hard, and I hope I was just a good inspiration for him to always keep working hard. When the talent maybe not be there, just keep working hard at it, and you'll get better.
For me, I'd say I wouldn't really have anybody. It's just more as a team. Like, I want people that played this year to remember how intense I was and how bad I wanted to win. So I hope they look up to me like that instead of, just a good shooter. Or, I want them to remember that I was a competitor.
And I think not only the team that's left, I think the fans in the stands, those that got to see it, I know that TV3 was able to carry most of the games, and that's a good thing. But for the young people's sake, for next year, I certainly hope we can fill the Grand Palace like we used to. How was that? That had to be different, not having the crowds like we.
Yeah, it's for sure. It was. You had to get used to it at first, but once you got into the games and everything, you focused on the win. So obviously, not having fans was really disappointing because I know people wanted to come out every game. But the fact that we had TV3, the radio, all that stuff is a blessing that people got to either listen or watch our games.
Mm-hmm. And by tournament time down at Greensburg, we had a good following down there. We had a good following, although it was 3 hours away down at Washington.
Yeah.
It was good to see that many people and know that we do travel well when we can travel, when they'll let us in. So.
For sure.
I know my mom was happy that there was TV3 and radio, and she finally made it down for the sectional. But
I was glad when she made it too, because I got her cookies and brownies.
She sent a few to the boys too, a couple batches. But you guys know more than I do. But at least playing at home as opposed to playing on the road, it was more like normal.
Yes.
Would that be accurate because of our size and we were allowing more people in? But you go on the road some places and it was just so dead. If you didn't bring your own energy, you weren't going to get anything out of the stands.
Yeah, for sure.
And we carried on all year long with pregame Spartanettes and cheerleaders and band. They were there most of the time, and I credit Brent Duncan and the administrative staff to trying to keep it as normal as possible.
And I think it was at home compared to going on the road and playing. So, and I think we ended up getting 2 extra home games because we missed out on the Kokomo tournament, and it seemed like both those games that we added were both home games. So, well, no, that's not right because Hamilton Southeastern was on the road, but just seemed like we had a good stretch there, and the home games were much better. McCutcheon, yep.
Yeah, which was good. I'd like to I'd like to continue that myself.
As long as they come here every year, Sam.
That's true. That's true. That's
Don't
a
want
long
to make
haul.
that bus right up to Lafayette. These guys don't even know where McCutcheon is. But I'm glad, because when we originally scheduled that, I think we were going to go up there because we just wanted to play. And their coach, I don't know why, but he said, yeah, we'd like to come down to the Spartan Bowl. And so we said, okay, that's fine with us.
Let's take a look now at state final pairings coming up this weekend at Bankers Life Fieldhouse, postponed a week because of the Ncaa Tournament. It'll be Carmel. They come in 25-2 against Lawrence North, and Coach talked about that, a team that we were within shouting distance of them, 4 points, and had an opportunity in that one. In 3A, Leo, they're 24-4. Out of the north, they play Silver Creek. They're also 24-4. Man, we could be there. We could, you know, that last shot, and woulda, coulda, shoulda, but we really, I feel like that we had what it took to get there. Here's Class 2A, Fort Wayne Blackhawk, 27-3. They face Park Heritage. They're also 27-3. And finally, in 1A, it's Couts, 29-2. They take on Bar Reeve. They're 28-2. Now, am I right that when you went down to Washington, you got to practice in Bar Reeves, Jim?
We went out to Bar Reeve for our walkthrough between the morning and the evening game, and it was actually their old high school gym, which I think is their middle school gym now, because they've built a new facility for their high school to play in, which is my understanding. But it was a neat gym, I think.
Yeah, it really was.
They take it pretty seriously down there in that part of the state, all of them.
Well, you got Lagodi and North Davies and Washington and Bar Reeve, and I'm probably offended someone leaving them out, but some pretty good teams in basketball down there.
That Washington gym was pretty impressive. It's not the Grand Palace on Grand, but for 7,000 seats for a small town like that, it was
I'd never
nice.
been there before, so
I hadn't either.
It's good to experience that. And I mentioned you, I wish we could have experienced. I've been to Seymour, and I know you have from the old SCC days, but I wish these guys could have experienced playing at Seymour the next week. So.
And it's interesting. It's fun, the fight that's going on between them and Newcastle, who's the largest. After all these years, after going on 60 years, now they bring it up.
Well, what they do, they resize the seats, and someone's got a few more, someone's got a few less.
Something like that. Talk a little bit about the Ncaa Tournament, the Elite Eight pairings. Only one team, Michigan, is from east of the Mississippi, which I find very interesting. Number 1 Gonzaga plays number 6 USC. That's Tuesday night, and then number 1 Michigan has UCLA on Tuesday. Tonight, Monday night, number 1 seed Baylor versus 3 seed Arkansas, and Oregon State, the 12 seed, they play the 2 seed Houston, and I can tell you that I don't mind saying this, that I'm pulling for Oregon State because the coach at Houston ruined Indiana basketball for a number of years. He's a cheat. I don't care what they say. Enough editorial comment. And I'm glad today that Coach Mike Woodson is the new leader at IU. I think he'll do a great job. I was able to catch some of him on the radio today on the Dan Dockage show, and I like his attitude. He brings back, I hope he can bring back the tradition of Indiana University basketball.
Certainly liked him as a player down there.
Oh, yeah, terrific player. Also tonight, the Hoosier Women. They are the number 4 seed, and they play the 3 seed Arizona. And good luck to the Hoosier Women. Farthest they've ever been. So it's just a good time of the year, except when this is all over and the weather's got to warm up, because sitting around the house, when I've been used to going with the boys and the girls 3 or 4 nights a week all winter long, you know, it takes a little adjustment, and I'm sure it takes adjustment for you guys too to switch gears. And I want to switch gears a little bit here, and tell me what you're doing in spring sports.
We're both doing golf in the spring.
Yeah,
so.
this is my first year just trying it out. See what it's like.
Yeah, well, that's a good game, and golf's a game that you can play. I don't play, but you can still play when you're my age, and where basketball, not so much. But, you're going off to college. Tell us where you're going and what you're doing.
I'm uncertain where I'm going to go right now. I think I have it narrowed down to either Rose-Hulman or the University of Tennessee. I went to both campuses over spring break, and both were very beautiful, had a lot to offer. So I think I'm just trying to narrow down the the pros and cons and just trying to figure out what fits me best.
Knoxville's a neat place.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Everything there was, yeah, it was just beautiful.
Yeah. But Rose Holman's a little closer to home. But
Yeah, that's definitely one of the pros about it. I could just, if I needed to come home, I could. We're in Knoxville. It's 5 hours away.
Rose Holman diploma take you anywhere.
Yeah, that's
Well,
that's a big
UT
reason.
will too, but
Yeah.
Rose Holman, I mean, for engineering, you can't beat that.
Yeah, it's. I think it's been ranked #1 for like 24 years in a row in the nation for undergraduate engineering degrees.
And you want to study what kind of engineering?
Structural engineering. It's like a kind of like a part off to the side of civil engineering. So
I know a little bit about that from my days working at H.H. Roberts when we had structural engineers on staff. I'll get in the weeds here a little bit, figuring wind loads and live loads and dead loads. On,
yeah, I got to learn all about that.
Yes, yes. Jonah?
Before our spring break, I recently signed to go play golf at Kentucky Wesleyan College down in Owensboro. It's a Division II, so I'm super excited to get down there.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
It's nice down there.
Yeah, it's beautiful. The campus it's small for Division II, but it's beautiful.
So, well, congratulations and best wishes to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, not
Jonah,
all-
what's your area of study going to be? I know you've told me. I just wanted to make sure I remembered.
Yeah. So far, I am thinking about doing education, but I'm still indecisive. I might go into something called golf management, which I'd have to transfer, but I think I can go through the sports management program there, and that'll lead to golf management. So.
Cool.
Yep.
Oh, well, we need good educators too, and good coaches. He's not going to be around to coach forever, although we'd like to keep him. But,
Thank you.
Coach, a couple of great guys here. Let's talk a little bit about the future, what you see. Certainly your cupboard's not bare, and there are going to be some young guys fighting for these two guys' spots, I'm sure.
Yeah, there is. I think there was 11 guys that we were trying to decide, and it was all year. These guys will back that up. We were trying to figure out 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I mean, almost every week, which was a good thing, but it was a bad thing because we didn't know from week to week, game to game, who we were going to be plugging in. The bad part is, you weren't sure who was going to give it to you that particular night. The good part is they're all back next year. And I think the thing that encourages me the most, as we mentioned Caleb Sparks, I'm not trying to shortchange anybody else, but a year ago, Caleb, there's no way he would have been a varsity basketball player. And a year removed from his sophomore year, which is where a lot of those guys are that we're talking about, we couldn't hardly get him off the floor. There was probably a couple of times Coach wanted to yank him out, but he just, the year's maturity, and you see that so many times. So for me to sit here and tell you that this kid or that kid's going to be where I envision them being at, I don't know that I can say that. But if everybody improves within the year like Caleb Sparks did, then I think we're going to have a really good year next year. If we don't, then there's going to be a lot of question marks, and there'll be a lot of bad coaching going on next year if the kids don't show that growth and that improvement. And that's got to be in their skills, and that's got to be in the weight room, and that's got to be in their mental approach. It's got to be in their character, because if they don't have all those things, then they'll fall short and will fall short as well. And as coaches, it's our responsibility to move them and push them and prod them in the right direction for what's best for our team. But I think we have 9 guys coming back that figured in our rotation this past season. I think we could be really good next year, and if we don't improve in the off season, we've got a big head or we're not humble, then we'll be in for a rude awakening. How's that?
Well, I know there's a lot of optimism in the community, but it's up to the guys to make
Nothing's
that happen.
given, everything is earned.
Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, it's been fun. Appreciate all 3 of you, and look forward to seeing you again, and thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
And thank you, everyone, for watching this edition of the Spartan Sports Report.